Hello.
Hey, yo, it's Faye on a beat with Martha. Martha and Faye on a beat.
A. Pew, pew, pew.
We should have like
Oh
a
my
DJ
goodness.
intro.
I feel like okay, first off, welcome to um I forgot the name of our podcast for a second. Oh my gosh, it's been too
To
long.
Black Girls Still Dreaming,
So
no.
Black Girls Still Dreaming, podcast with Fae and Martha. We have been so busy and we've been gone for a minute. How are you doing, Faye? What have you been up to?
Oh my God. Well, I'm first. I'm happy to be back on the pod. I know it's been a month. I'm doing good. I'm a little tired, a little exhausted. Birthday
Hmm.
stuff, Juneteenth, Pride. I started a sabbatical. So, and then we got back from New Orleans and life just got insane. So that's
Literally.
why you haven't heard your girls in your ears, but we back.
But we back. We are, and we actually usually we record in the same room. But
I
we
know. This is our
are,
first time doing long distance.
yeah, it's kind of weird. Wish I could see ya, but I think this is great. I think also the fact that, me and Faye live an hour away from each other, like this was bound to happen. So it's good we're doing it now. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Yeah, you kind of recapped it really well. Like it literally has been back to back to back. Yeah, literally your birthday, Juneteenth, Pride, like all the things. And then like we're going into like another camping trip this weekend, which will be super nice. It's like a Pride and Nature trip. And like, but yeah, it's just like a lot of stuff. And I don't know if y'all can hear it in my voice, but like I'm tired.
No, literally, we are trying to rest and restore so we can follow our dreams and our passions, but also like we're exhausted and trying to honor that and move at our pace, which
Yeah,
I feel like really has been the lesson of this season, especially with like, I feel like we're such dreamers. Like, we have like our 9 to 5s, but then we have like our like 5 to 9, and
right.
then it's like trying to fit family and friends in between. And also, it's Pride season. We was at Samamba, shake a little ass or shake a little booty.
Shake a
Um,
little.
shake
I'm
a little
dead.
something,
We've
something.
cursed on the show.
We're shaking a
We were
little
shaking
ass. I know. I
ass.
don't know why I feel so. I always censor my cursing when we hop on the
I
pod,
know.
but then I'm a
I
sailor in
know.
IRL. Well, not really a
Literally.
sailor. I would say like maybe like a true Somali.
No, I was about to say you sprinkle it in. Like it's not like every other word.
I
Like,
like that like Shakespearean like cursing. It's like, uh,
hmm,
like what's a good like old timey curse? Like, you wench.
right, or like calling somebody a plebeian. That's my favorite.
Oh my god, I
Like
love
you common
commoner.
person. Like, yeah, no, yes, I literally think that this has been like the craziest like month and a half. And I agree with you. Like that sentiment of like we're dreamers, so we want to like do something every minute of every day, and like resting can be really hard for us. But like also we need to rest to dream, but also we don't have enough time in the day. And I think like I just know for myself, like I also can't ignore the fact that like we are so like inundated with like things you could do to like be better. Like I feel like I'm just always like, oh, like a new hobby, a new thing, like let me monetize this, let me do that. And it just I feel like I get overwhelmed and it's like I don't even have enough time for the things that I wanted to originally do and now I'm like looking at other things to like add to that.
No, literally. I think too, like, I think also we should maybe like speak about some of the stuff we've been up to. Like, cause
Yeah.
I know, like, for me, I'm like very much so like, I'm doing my 9 to 5, cause like, if I don't, like, like homeless or like, losing opportunities or just like, the comfortability of life. But then it's also like doing our passions. Like, as you
Right.
know, we were in New Orleans. Martha got this rest sabbatical, and so we're trying to put that in practice. But then we came back, and it's like, I know I got really sick, and that always happens to me when I like travel,
Mm.
because I will like run a marathon before I go on a trip because I feel like I've convinced myself I need to like earn rest. So I was like
Mm,
working like from 8 to 8 every single night, doing like work and then doing events, and then hopped on the plane, and then it's NOLA, so obviously we was out and about exploring.
right. We were out and about. Um, and I think, yeah, it's like, it is, you did kind of like do a lot beforehand. And I think I did too, because I was, obviously like we were missing work and whatever. So you try to make time for that. But yeah, we got back from New Orleans, and then you said, like you said, you got sick. What did I friggin' do? Um, yeah, like when I came back, you got sick, and then um, hmm, what did I do? Um, you got sick.
You
I went
literally
back to
hosted an
work.
entire sneaker ball.
Yes, that's true. I went back to work and was grinding at work, and then also like grinding for like the nonprofit I work with in a volunteer capacity. Um, and yeah, it was just a lot. And like I think getting back to normalcy, and like Chad, my husband, has chronic illness, and like that has been just a constant thing. And yeah, I think it's just trying to find moments of rest in between all the things you want to do, and also like supporting one another. Like that's the other thing, like you said, like being part of a family. Like Faye, you live near family, and so sometimes like that can oh my god, excuse me. Ugh. That can
Bless
pop
you. Are
up
you okay?
unexpectedly. Yeah, I'm good. I just sneezed really hard. Um, excuse me. That can pop up unexpectedly. But like for me, it's like different because I live like a few states over from my family, and like obviously I have like my husband is like my family, and then like we have our communities that we like show up for. And I didn't know if you wanted to talk more about like how, I guess, like going from
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans, re-entering back here was for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, now that we're long distance, I'm like, I don't want to like interject. So I'm like, because usually I see your face and then I'm like, oh my God, listen to this. Um,
No, literally.
but no, I can talk about it. Honestly, no. So, 'cause for me, I like ran a marathon before I left, and then I came back and I got really, really sick. Which one was really sad because I missed the Coco Jones concert and her new album Fire. And Coco Jones, if you magically hear this for some reason, I love you. But no, I just like literally my body like shut down. Like I
Yeah.
think my body was punishing me for because I was like working out, I was doing boxing, I was doing housing events, I was doing the actual work I need to do during the day, and then I
Mm,
was like volunteering for like improv stuff because like I love improv, and I think for me like I realized after that trip that like I really need to slow down and like listen to my body when it tells me it's tired and not
mm,
push it to the brink. And also, I realize I don't need to earn rest. Like, if I'm tired, that rest has been earned. Like, if
yeah.
I need to close my eyes, if I need to slow down, just by the mere fact that I exist, that is my right. And I think,
Hmm.
like, because I got sick, and that took me out. And I always, like, have a hard time when I'm sick, too, because I love my family. I live close to my family, and I'm very close with my mom and my siblings. But there's like seven of them, and I'm the oldest, so I can't really lean on anyone. And I was like living alone at the time, so it's just always hard when I get sick because I spent all this money door dashing myself back to health. That like I'm like, oh, I need to change my lifestyle, and
Right.
so I got sick and then I felt better and I went back to work. And for context, I was finishing a contract by June 1st, and I literally didn't even get half the things I was supposed to get done because I my body was literally ill
Right.
and I was still working. I would literally mask and like try to like do my best to make it to the events when I was feeling better.
Right.
But it was just one of those things where it's like I feel like I've convinced myself that if I stop, the world's gonna end and everything's gonna crumble. And
Right.
like, I want to honor that because I know that that doesn't come from nowhere. Like, when
Mm,
I'm like the oldest of my family, we call that Rada, which is like, king, like, queen, the oldest daughter. It translates
right.
directly to the oldest daughter. And so when I didn't do things, things didn't get done. And so it wasn't coming from a place of nowhere. But now that I'm older and I've like dropped the ball on a few things, which for me, dropping the ball is like so minuscule, but in my
Right.
mind, I feel so much guilt and shame about it. And I've been
Yeah.
like forgiving myself for not feeling those, for not feeling that guilt for resting.
Mm.
And if the world crumbles because I take care of myself, these projects or these things were never meant to succeed.
Right.
And
And
so,
I was just gonna say, like, you told me that, um, I think when I was like dealing with like feeling overwhelmed about like wanting to rest, but like, my husband was going through like his chronic illness stuff and like I'm like his main support, right? And I think like you had said that to me and it like I think about it all the time and it was so like profound because it really is like you have to remember if everything like relies on you to be holding it up, like it was never like at all times, right? Like you can't put it down, you can't rest, like you can't, then that was never meant to exist anyway. And I think sometimes we force these things because we're like, well, it's not going to get done if I don't do it. And I think um, that's just, I mean, it's like the way that our whole like thought process around that is based off of like the society that we built that wants us to, not that we built, granted, that somebody built, that people
mhm.
built, right? That wants us to just like forget ourselves and like, you know, get to the goal or get to whatever by any means necessary. So,
No, literally. And I think you're really highlighting like these are the conditions in which like are created by like our current society, like whether good or bad, which let's be real, a lot of it's bad.
right.
And it's a lot of it's fueled by capitalism. And I think like these I don't think and I think we have to give ourselves a lot of grace because I don't think these thoughts come from nowhere. They don't just come from us like thinking, "Oh my God, turn your volume down for the feedback." Oh, heard. Sorry. I was
You're
supposed to read
fine.
that out loud. Okay, how about now? How's this feedback?
It's good.
No, but I think like genuinely these are the conditions in which we inherited. Like if you think about it, our age group, we survived not only a pandemic, a literal revolution, and then now we're supposed to join the workforce. We're supposed to be all these things, not only for ourselves, but to our friends, to our family, to our employers. And
Right.
so we literally got told if we don't do it, it's gonna get put down. But really, like I think I've just honored the fact that like I don't want to be a cog in the machine anymore. I want to create my own cycles of rest and rejuvenation and I don't even think like producing is bad, but if you're doing it for yourself, like I want to clock in on my passions and clock out of being a resource. Oh my god,
Yeah.
HR reference, LOL. Because we're not renewable resources.
Yeah. Yeah. No, literally, like we are finite. Like we only have so much we can give and do, and like it's important to be able to define that in the frame of like what's important to us. I also think I'm just thinking a lot about so I mean, obviously like there's like biggest understatement of the century. There's a lot going on in the world right now. And a lot of it is really with like not within our control. And I think for those of us who are like big dreamers and who are the people who like want to imagine like a better future, it can feel really overbearing because there's just so many things that happen without our consent, right? Like it's like we don't get to choose or decide a lot of the things that like happen to us. And so I think like being creative and like what that means to you, right? Because I used to think of myself as not a creative person. I was like, I'm this, that, like Faye knows, like I was pre-med in college. Like I was very like, I'm gonna be a doctor and like like I have to, even though I literally didn't like science and math and wasn't that good at it. I was like, no, science, math, like that's what I have to do. Like everything was related to that goal that wasn't even really mine. And um, I feel like I ultimately, um, like now that I've kind of like figured out what I do want, or maybe not figured out what I do want, but maybe figured out what I don't want, um, I'm able to kind of like look at that and see the ways that like the things that I thought I liked or wanted to do were shaped by something that wasn't within my control. And so I really see like taking like letting myself, make those decisions, be it like I want to read primarily fiction books, even though like nonfiction might be more, I don't know, like whatever. Or like just like making these small decisions of how I want to spend my time in and of itself. It seems like it does seem small, but I think it's really meaningful and like um a little bit of choice in a lot of places where we don't have choice, if that makes sense.
No, I think you're talking about like agency because it's like I think the system makes us feel like we don't really have choices. Like we have to do these things because the consequences are like like we'll lose our not only our comforts but like our like way of life and
Right,
sometimes our civil rights. Like I mean, we're watching the world literally be on fire, both literally and metaphorically.
right,
So I think like the little things we do have power over, like, okay, I know that I don't want to read fiction, so I'm going to read sci-fi. Or I know that I don't always want to read about, like, shout out Bell Hooks, I love her, but I don't always want to read about how I'm oppressed and all these things. So I'm going to escape into my like fairy tales and my fantasies or my poetry. Or it's like, oh, I went, like you were telling me the other day, you're like, literally, I feel like the world's on fire and getting my nails done is like the only thing that's going to bring me joy right now. Why not do that? It's like, why not give ourselves little treats of joy to
right.
like keep the hope alive? And I think we were talking about that this morning of like, everything feels so hard, and every time I get a step ahead it feels like I'm like taking 10 steps back, but it's like
Hmm.
I have to believe that trying our best is enough. Like I
Right.
have to believe that, or then it feels like it's for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's just so interesting moving through life, like with everything happening and like being the age that we are. And it's like, we go shake ass this weekend and then I like go to work and it's just like, I don't know, it feels very like surreal. Like I'm like, oh, things still have to, like, I still have to clock in. I still gotta, even though like it makes me think like even if there were like bombs raining down, our jobs would be like, all right, like clock in and do your work and maybe you could take a 30-minute break instead of a 15-minute break because like you don't have a home anymore or like whatever. Like it's just like it can feel dehumanizing, but I think like having the moments of, yeah, just being joyful. And I think like that's the core of this podcast, right? Like we want to center joy, but we also want to be like real and like acknowledge where there is hard times or tension or um just exhaustion. um yeah, but that being said, how was your birthday? I wanted to,
LOL, the segue.
no, I mean
Crazy.
it's not a segue. I just was like, with that, I want to bring us back up. Yeah, how was your birthday? How is being 26 so far?
Oh my goodness. Well, first I want to acknowledge what you said, and then I'm gonna tell you how my birthday is because that's a whole topic change, and it's about to get crazy. I think like, dude, because the world is so hard and there's so much instability, joy is necessary. Like shaking ass is a form of revolution. Like
Clearly.
if I'm clocking in on housing justice, you're clocking in on public health, emergency preparedness at that. Because Loki is an emergency outside. Canada burning. Like
Literally.
the homies getting bombed. And also, if you think about it, like we're immigrants. We are a displaced people. So it's like if our
Right.
form of revolution is going to Samambo and shaking ass and like just having a good time with our friends or going camping and like communing with nature, that's the tea and that's that.
Mm,
And so,
real.
and in the spirit of shaking ass as a form of revolution, we can change the topic to my birthday. Hey, I'm 26. Woo, woo, woo,
She's
woo, woo, woo.
26.
Cerebellum cooked. Your girl fully developed. Oh my goodness. Honestly, 26 was so good. I feel like 25 was so hard that it just felt like such a breath of air to like celebrate. And like I like for the first time like really intentionally planned out an itinerary for myself cuz I
Mm,
feel like I spent a lot of 24 like for context, I went through a breakup and I was with that person for like a while. And so I was learning kind of how to like be single again and do things not for myself, but like, just be independent. So I feel like a lot of life was waiting for things to be planned out or waiting to be remembered or waiting to be appreciated.
mm,
And I feel like 25 was learning the lessons I needed to do all those things for myself. And then I feel like my birthday was me implementing it. So I planned laser tag, we went to the black market, we danced, and like it was definitely a full weekend and I'm
yeah,
exhausted. But
yeah.
I felt like 26 really was the starting chapter of like me choosing myself, man. And my cup runneth over. And
Mm,
I also just love the community that showed up. Like every day was a different set of people that I have been connected to throughout my life, whether it be through like my housing justice, my
right.
poetry, our camp group. Like I just finally feel like I not only like have trust within myself that everything will be all right, and that I am more resourced than I was when I was a kid or when I was even 24, just
Mm,
2 years back, you know.
yeah,
And also I like I can fall back and my community will catch me. And I like, and not that it was even a thing of like, oh my god, I'm exhausted, I'm gonna take a backseat. It was like, no, it's my birthday and I kind of just want to be a princess. And I literally fell back and all of my homies had me. And
right.
like that, and I feel like we need to talk about safety nets in the context of joy, not only in the
Mm,
context of like emergency. Because all the homies moved this year, and one thing about Faye, I might be 5 feet, but I can move a box. I can drive a U-Haul.
yeah, you can move people, that's for sure.
You know, but
Literally, metaphorically, and physically.
no, literally. And so my birthday just felt like such a great start to this chapter of like me just choosing myself, going where I'm loved, choosing joy. And I had a really good time. And I still am like opening all these presents a week
Mm,
later. And I just like, I'm just really grateful to be at this point in my life where my biggest problem is a flat tire. You know what I mean?
real. No, that's real.
Which also is still a problem. But anyway,
I
we
mean,
will talk
it's a problem, but like, it is what it is. Like,
about it.
it is what it is.
Yeah, if anyone wants to teach me how to change a tire, please DM our Instagram account.
No, and actually teach all of us because,
Yeah, can you send a video? Like, we'll tag you and everything because it is hard out here.
and it's like, yeah, I think, well, that's the thing I was telling Faye right before this because we were talking about the flat tire situation. Um, and yeah, I think ultimately, like, there's a lot of us that really don't know how to do that shit. Like, and I think it's like we just it becomes too much, right? Like everything we're saying, like that is like what we live in every day, and then the tire goes flat. But I wanted to like highlight what you said about like your safety net of community both in hard times and in like not hard times. Like I think it was really beautiful to see everybody around you and like all of our community for your birthday because you deserve that and you show up for everybody else in that way. Um, and yeah, I think it was just really great to see and it made me really happy. And I think that's really important too because like, I don't know, I feel like joy is always seen as like this is just with like your family or like with your like partner or whatever like it like these like moments of joy are reserved like deep joy. I feel like we say like oh yeah like we'll do birthday dinner or whatever with friends and it'll be like like oh yay like love y'all okay bye, but I feel like our generation is really like redefining like friendship and community. um and I think like it's probably a callback to like the ways that like our ancestors were in community with one another, but
Clock it.
like we lost that I think, and now we're trying to get back to it. I mean, even the way, like, right now, shout out to our friend Mariah. We're doing a pen pals thing where we are just sending each other letters. And I say that knowing I haven't sent my letter back, and Mariah, because I know you will listen to this, literally it's on my desk right now. And I will be working on it. But yes, like it was just super cute. Like she like sent me like a really cute decorated card and she put like games in it and just like ways to show people that like they matter to you and that like your presence in their life like makes their life better in like a lot of ways. I think is really meaningful. And it's beautiful and I am just again, happy birthday, Faye. Like, you
I
are
love you.
literally my girl. I love you down. Literally nobody else I would want to do this with. And yeah, I just love you to pieces. But yeah, what else? I'm like, what else can we talk about? God, it's been so long. I feel like I've lost my flow of like,
Our yapping, our supreme yaps.
right. Well,
Um,
and we've been talking off the pod, guys. Obviously, we talk all the time. Um, so it's like, I'm like, what have you guys not heard?
Honestly, I know a few topics we could talk about. I remember at one point we were venting a few weeks back, pre-birthday, about like um friendships and like how like it's important to show up during the
Mm,
hard times. Because I think I was just fed up because I was helping so many people move, but then it was just like the same three people showing up,
yep.
and Minneapolis like is a big city, but it's also a small city, so
Right.
it's like you kind of know when people are going through it, and like for me, I'll always ask for help, but like not everyone wants to ask for help, so it's
Right.
like you're pulling up. I remember we also were talking about. I'm just doing a rundown of options. We were talking about negotiating with ourselves on if we deserve rest, traveling. Um, I think
Mm.
at one point I was venting about the car market because I'm trying to buy a car, but the car market is brutal. What's that
I
TikTok?
feel
It's
like
brutal
that
out here.
everything so brutal. Oh, well, okay. Yes. So a few things. I also thought about like how we were wanting to buy a house and what that looks like. We haven't even really talked about that off the
Oh my
pod.
god, yes!
But that's super exciting and we should get into that. And then I do want to talk about what you were talking about with like friends showing up and stuff because I think we're both like we're the people that like will show up. I mean, I literally live an hour away and like I'll show
60
up in
miles, y'all. She
like
be driving 60 miles.
60 miles and I'll come and like help you move or like paint your room or whatever. Like I literally and so like we're both those people and so like sometimes when you're in community with people who aren't those people and are I guess lack of a better way of saying it like more willing to let you like do it like and maybe aren't as readily like there to reciprocate like that can be really hard um and I think it's not like a reason not to be there for people, right? Because I think sometimes like especially like in our very individualistic society, people will look at that as an example of like, see, this is why you don't like do too much for people or whatever. And it's like we're not saying like be taken advantage of, but like being in community with people is showing up even when it's not comfortable. Oh my god, excuse me.
It's
Um,
okay, baby.
I just I'll probably go get a drink in a sec. But yeah, like being be showing up for people when it's not comfortable.
Or
Um
convenient.
or convenient and like expecting that back but not doing it because you are going to get it back. It's like this fine line between like you expect reciprocity and if you're not getting that like you're allowed to have complaints about that. um because
No,
like
literally.
you can't keep pouring out for other people and not getting poured into. It's just and I think sometimes we're all going through a lot and so it can feel like well I don't have anything to give but like just the little like gestures of reciprocity go a long way or even just communication around like maybe I can't help you move like fully but once you're settled like let me know I can help you unpack or like just finding ways to still support people within your own capacity because I think something I'm realizing especially as I'm centering rest in this season is sometimes I will say that I can do something, and then I can't anymore. Like that's been happening a lot where it's like I overcommit,
Mm-hmm.
and because I'm like, well, and sometimes maybe I could, like if I really push myself, maybe I could do it all, but like that isn't healthy or like worth it
Or sustainable.
or sustainable. And like so I've been doing a better job at communicating like, yeah, I know I said I could originally do that, but I'm literally so tired. Or I just don't have it in me. Like, let's reschedule, let's like get it on the calendar, whatever that looks like. Um, and I feel like yeah, it's like all about balance and like also having realistic expectations for people. But yeah, I think like to kind of name what you were talking about, Faye, like just that, yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a level of maturity that all of this requires, like being able to be in community with one another, like truly and honestly, not just being like, oh, I've got some people that I go out with and like maybe we'll like do something wholesome once in a while, but like I'm never gonna like sacrifice anything of myself or like, you know, like I'm just here for a good time type of
No.
relationship.
Hmm. I also think too, like, I don't know, like I really like what you were saying about like how like recently because you have been showing up and showing out like literally all summer and all year, but sometimes you're tired, and I think like showing up shouldn't be at the expense of you, and
Mm,
like you can't pour from an empty cup. But I also think that's why like shared labor and collective and community is so important, because if we're all showing up in the ways that we can and we have capacity for, no one person is fully feeling drained.
yeah.
Or if that person is feeling drained, they can take a step back and rest and know that like other folks in the community will be there to lift those pillars back up. And I think that's what's hard about and about like that the situation, honestly multiple situations, because I think I've been helping people move like what 5 different times, especially when we live in a housing crisis, so like people are always moving, transitioning, like things in general are always in flux, and that's just life, like the
Right.
older I get, the more I realize like things happen in life. Sometimes friends get sick, they need you. Sometimes they're moving. Sometimes you're the one who gets sick, or sometimes you just need someone to vent to. But I think if
Right.
we all are lifting up our parts in the, like, like when you're a kid and like the parachute, like everyone had a little handle so that we
Right.
could lift the parachute up and all go under it. But if it's just one person doing that, like they're going to be exhausted and they don't even have the wingspan to carry that full load. And so like
Mm,
and I say this to say, like, this is just a call for all of us to look inside ourselves and like not only build that capacity, but to communicate when we can't, because if we don't have collective, at the end of the day, like we're all gonna fall. And I'm not even calling
mm,
anyone out. Like, this is the conditions in which we were birthed into. This is the programming we were literally like in, like, this sociology ingrained into us. So it takes
mm-hmm.
time and self-reflection. And I don't think, like, in the instances that I've helped my friends move throughout this year, and me myself even going through my own housing like situation,
Yeah.
like I don't even think the friends that didn't show up are evil or bad. Like I genuinely think some of them were tired, and then some of them genuinely just needed prompting. But I think all of us have to like take the initiative to offer and know that like it's not a dig or anything, because like for me, I don't
Right.
want to change my nature. I don't want to be like, oh, you didn't help me move, so I don't want to do all these things for you, da, 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 da. Like that's not in my nature, and like
Yeah.
that goes against my instinct, and I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. But I also can't help but like be honest about the fact that like, like after 6 months of like always showing up and not having people show up until I broke down, like it gets disheartening, and it makes
Yeah.
you want to cocoon, and it makes you kind of want to hide in your turtle shell, because like it's sad, and that's okay, and there's grief in that.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to bring this up on the pod, because I'm like, we all we all just need to do better for ourselves so we can do better for each other.
That's so real. I think also like in that last statement you're naming too, like we can't I mean it's real it's like that sentiment of you can't pour from an empty cup, right? But like it really is like oftentimes And this isn't the reason to take care of yourself, right? Like the reason to take care of yourself isn't to serve others, like, but it's so that you can show up in the ways that are most meaningful to you. And for the people that we're in community with, like, we've all kind of named a value of like being able to support one another. Um, and so I think like oftentimes when we aren't taking care of ourselves, we can't do that, and we can't show up for ourselves, and so it's just like this domino effect. But I think, yeah, that was really well said. I think it's important to talk about, especially, as we're in this phase of life where, like, we're only going to need each other more. And, like, yes, people are going to, partner off, and that might look different, but especially, like, us being in the types of spaces we're in, like, we're always going to rely on one another. And as we grow and get more responsibilities and things probably get more expensive and like it's just going to become more and more important. And it really, to me, and I don't know why I feel like the need to even, I guess, reflect on these people, but it really, like, to me, it makes me think of like the people who don't live that way, that are in that very individualistic mindset of like, it's like me and my spouse or me and my long-term partner, and we don't need anybody else. And like, I know a lot of people like that, and I'm just kind of like, those also tend to be the people that I feel like, sorry, not sorry, are like really out of touch with reality. um, because you like everything's so focused on like what you need, and like just, or like even the only people you show up for are your immediate family, and it's just like, what does that look like for people who like don't have that familial relationship or support, or like like who don't have that option. And so I don't know, I find it really interesting and important. And I guess if you are one of those people that is more on the individualistic side, or feels like you can't trust people that aren't blood, or feel like you can't even trust blood, like, I
I would love to know
feel
why.
you
Like, drop a
and I like
comment.
recognize that. Drop a comment. And also, like, I encourage you to be open to finding the people that are gonna hold you, because as somebody who grew up literally learning, don't trust anybody, like, your family is all you have, that kind of thing. Like, I think being open to that has been like really important in my life, and really is redefining like what home and community looks like for me. And it's been really meaningful. And it's not just like friends I go to the club with, like, it's like people that I really consider part of my like extended family, like, and in some cases closer than my actual family. Um,
No, and I think like there's a real beauty in like, yes, because I have my family here in Minnesota with me, and I love them to pieces, and I have my own relationship, but there's such a beauty of like having also this chosen family that we've created here. And it's just so healing, and it breathes so much life into me, and it allows me to keep going, and it allows me to not be cynical, and honestly to combat those feelings of like, dang, like I'm kind of feeling drained after showing up for months to months, and like it would be nice to have maybe someone else here except the same three people. And those, that chosen family reminds me there is more than just three of us, there is just more than four of us, because I've found out like as humans we all just want to be loved and seen, and a lot of people want to hold their hand out. They're just scared and they've been burned, and sometimes it's also just programming. Like I think like we even see it in our grocery stores, like everything is built to be bought in a family unit or a couple, like shopping for groceries even as a single person is like is just more expensive and not sustainable. And so I think like honoring the fact that like this is social programming, but also like holding ourselves to like to be curious, to be critical, and to like honestly like question our programming and be like, yeah, no, I want community. Why am I fighting it?
mm, Yeah, literally. I want community. Why am I fighting it? And like, yeah, I think it's really interesting that we recognize it oftentimes and then we don't do much about it. Like, um, meaning like, so there are people who like, I feel like the word community is like being said so much and like we all like want it, but then we don't want to like sacrifice anything for it. Even like when I say sacrifice, even like sacrificing like the possibility of being hurt or like being, but we do that all the time in romantic relationships. Like we sacrifice all the time of like, oh, yes, I might get hurt, but like I want to see where this goes. I really like this person. And it just doesn't look that way in building community with people, or like people get so nervous about like being themselves or putting themselves out there. But it's like truly the like that's how you find your people, like because then like you'll put yourself out there and somebody will be like, oh, I like that too, or like whatever, and it's really beautiful. But yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah, it's also like so rejuvenating because and Martha knows this. I've had a few friendship breakups this past year, and I yes, it may have ended sour, but I genuinely don't regret any of those friendships, putting myself out there, or even the romantic situations I've been in, because I feel like not only did I learn new sides of myself that I'm so happy I met, because they've allowed me to be this beautiful 26-year-old that's hopeful and full of life, and still has the joy to dream,
Mm,
and also some hard lessons that have allowed me to become honestly more of an adult, and protect myself, and learn more about what I like and what my boundaries are. And for me, I'm a firm believer of loving you, being friends with you, caring for you is never a waste of time, because
mm,
that's just in my ethos, that's in my politics, and that's who I am. And I don't want to change my programming because I got burned, and I think just letting that grief move through you and not letting it harden you is really key.
yeah.
And I think time heals all, and I just wanted to add that because I understand the fear. I felt the fear, but don't let it make you bitter. There's already enough
Yeah,
bitter people in the world. We already have enough politicians doing that for us. We
literally.
and also I don't know. I understand the baddies are being siphoned on from all fronts. Sometimes work. Some people it's family. Some people it's a partner. Some people it's just the day-to-day life of having to pay bills, feed
Mm,
ourselves, and exist, the mental. And I want to honor the baddies are being siphoned, but I also want to take on this charge of it is up to us to not only fill our cups but to fill each other's cups.
mm. And that feels, yeah, that feels like as close to a life's calling as I can get. Like to be able to like find joy in community and like be there for one another. Um I think, yeah, I feel like, everything else is like gonna result from that for me, because like, and like centering myself but also like doing that in community, if that makes sense. Um I forgot what I was gonna say. So that's cool. Um, oh, I remember. I was gonna like say, yeah, I really like this conversation, and it kind of transitions well into us talking about our thought process around trying to purchase a home. I know we hadn't talked about it in a minute, so like this is like kind of really like live and off the cuff, but just to kind of introduce it, and Faye, I'll let you add to it. Like so Chad and I, my husband and I, are planning on moving back to the metro in December of this year. So at the time of this coming out, it is probably June. If we release this soon after recording it, it will still be June. So yeah, so in like
December.
five-ish months. And we're super excited. Like again, like a lot of my community is based in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and yeah, I'm really excited to be back there. Honestly, it could not come quick enough. Like, I think where I've been at has been really like, I think it's been a transformative phase of my life, but I'm like very ready to move on to the next phase where it's living near my friends. And
We were so excited to
I'm
have you,
so
Claire.
excited. It's
We
literally
can
like
do
the
like
highlight of
movie
my
night.
year. What were you gonna say, babe?
No, it's also the highlight of my year because just whenever you're in the city, like not only am I grateful for you just driving the 60 miles, but like whenever you're in the city, like you literally brighten up the whole city. Like you're the definition of black girl magic. So it would be nice to just have you here. And I also know you'll just be happier near your community.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I think the hard moments for me are when it does feel like I think I felt that feeling of like not having reciprocity around like always having to drive to the city. And not to say like the solution to that is just move to the city, but like obviously like that barrier will be removed. And like it's not like people don't come to me often because like they don't want to. Like I recognize like I mean, I pay over $300 for my car payment, so that I can have a car that can make it to the city, right? Like, and that is like a very real barrier. And like, it is like literally over a 60-mile drive. Like, there's just like, I understand it. But sometimes it can make me really sad when I'm like, oh, I like literally can't be there, or like, it's gonna be, I don't know. Or even when I do have a weekend where, because I was literally in the metro Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Saturday.
and not Sunday. I was gonna be there Sunday, but I literally didn't have it in me. But like shit like that. Like it's just it's exhausting, and it's literally just so I can like be around my friends. And there's just like there's so much like planning and logistics. Like if I want to go out like on Saturday night or whatever, like or like I like for Faye's birthday weekend, like I was literally there Friday. Like it's like every weekend I'm like not in my own home at all because like I want to like do things with my friends and that's exhausting. So I'm really happy, but kind of the reason why basically like Chad and I were looking like we rent right now, we're looking to probably rent like we are, like everybody else just barely making it by. Um,
Or the
and
generation of renters.
literally, and like most of us are very much like, can we ever buy a house? I don't know. But we were
Mm-hmm.
talking about like, but what if we like a group of us bought a house and just did like kind of like a co-op situation, and we were like dreaming about it, and we spent like we were like on the phone with our friend for like hours just like dreaming about it and talking through it, and like obviously there's logistics and things that have to happen and we're figuring that out, but like we just thought like wouldn't it be so cool if like our return to the city was like built in like all this community with our friends. And like I have had this like dream for like a few years now of like being able to like live in a really big house and like live with my friends and like do like movie nights and dinner together, and like if something breaks we all fix it together, and we like figure like just like figuring that process out. And I know to some people that sounds like a nightmare, but like and honestly like I love I like there are caveats to it, right? Like I'm me and my husband are newly married, like we like would want our own space and like what that would look like, and like we've talked about duplexes and triplexes and all these things, whatever. But like at its core, like I think like one, it's too freaking expensive to have two people live in a whole home nowadays. So there's that. I think like if once I go back and forth once we have children, um once slash if we have children, like right,
Real.
that might look different. But yeah, like I feel like right now us being like in our mid to late 20s, like we are just like really enjoying like being in community with one another. And I don't think that has to change drastically with children. Like that's another thing. Like I have like a core fundamental belief that like our ancestors were so communal, and it wasn't even like you wouldn't even think twice about it. And like do think that individualism is killing us. Um, I think, like, especially as someone who, like, works in public health, studies public health, like, I think there's something so healing about being community with one another. Um, and
No, literally.
obviously that looks different because, like, capitalism, but, like, I feel like we can find little pockets of it, and I think that's what we're trying to do with this thought process. So that was a lot of words. Faye, what are your thoughts?
No, those are beautiful words. Never, never stop providing them and giving them to us.
Oh,
No, I'm gonna just like go from immediate thought, dude. I think like our ancestors were meant so communal, and I think children are like meant to be a part of our society. Like growing up, like there were kids running around my house. Every like community like thing we did, like when my mom took me to weddings, there were kids running around, and I think it's a deeply like I don't even know if I would call it Western, but even when you walk around, like you don't see kids just hanging out like at the park
right.
or at the function, or like even some of the community dinners we had, like my housing coalition I'm part of, like I remember we were like intentional in our first few things to like have childcare and make sure people know they could bring their children, because I feel like our society wants us to like hide children and like pretend like they're
Hmm.
not a part of society, or they're inconvenient because
Or
they're loud and they
or
say what they
even
want.
like, yeah, I think that's a big part of it. Or even like parents like feeling like now I'm isolated from spaces that like I normally would really like being in because I'm a parent, like because I have kids.
Yes.
And that sucks. Like I fear that all the time. I would hate to have kids and like what, now I can't, not saying you bring your kids to the club, but like,
But like
like,
even
oh,
Juneteenth, for example, this past
right.
Wednesday, like there were kids playing double dutch, running around, having popsicles, eating ice cream. Like we should be able to create spaces in which like parents and kids can enjoy themselves equally, and not
Right.
have it be a caveat like your access to society is dependent on you ditching your kid with a sitter.
Hmm. Yeah. And especially thinking too about how like inequitable that is. Like childcare is so expensive and like also like some people like you it's sometimes, especially if you don't have that community yet and you're trying to build it, it's like, well, where am I going to find somebody that I trust with my children? Especially for those of us who don't maybe have extended family around or alive or, in the
Or in
country.
the
Like,
country, they deporting people out here.
right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that was too deep. But anyway, you know
No.
what? You know what? It wasn't too deep. It was
No,
honest.
I didn't mean to like pause like that. I just thought you were going to keep talking. Um,
No, well, I was, but I also like really like your train of thought, and I can interject after.
yeah, you're funny. No, I feel like yes, they totally are, and that's not too real because it is what's happening, and like it's like so hard to like sit in this place of being in between, like joy and the world's our oyster, and everything fucking sucks and the world's on fire. Like and I think that's where any 25, 26, 27 and on year old is at, where it's like we are being told like do this, fix your credit, buy a house, blah blah. And I see people. I mean, God, I just saw this. I don't know if they'll listen to this, but I saw this couple. I went to grad school with one of them, and they just bought a house, their dream house in their dream neighborhood. And I was like, I'm like happy for you, but also like I just don't know how that would even be a reality for me. And it's like not even something that I even envy necessarily because I'm like, I mean, like I said, we want to buy a house together, and I think we should get back to that. But like,
No,
um,
I agree, and I have more thoughts on that. But finish what you're saying, because you were on a
yeah,
roll.
basically, yeah. I was just kind of like, oh, like that's so good. Like I'm so happy for you. And like, yeah, I don't even like that. Like I'm in that place of being like, ugh. But like, it is realistic to recognize like we don't all have equitable access to these things that are seen as just part of being an adult, and that can be really invalidating. To like
No,
be
literally.
growing up and like being like, oh, like I don't know if I'll ever be able to buy a house, and like does that mean I'm a failure? Does that mean I made like bad choices? Like yeah, it's a sucky feeling. But what were you gonna say?
One, no, you're not a failure for not accomplishing any of those things. I think like, especially as like a housing organizer, like like when you monetize human rights, like when you monetize things like having a home, like people just a few decades back were building homes, like, and
Mm,
like I can't speak to like other countries, but like in the US, like a lot of the folks who are able to have access to the capital to buy a home, to have that human right, because I view housing as a human right.
yeah,
And I think
same.
monetizing it is like I think there's some really bad consequences to it, and I see it every day.
Yeah,
And so I don't think we are failures for not achieving those things when like we like even in the history of our country, like a lot of the people of color who have lived here for like generations, like I know we're immigrants, so it was our parents and then us, but like they didn't get the GI Bill. Only certain people did, and those people
right.
now are able to give their kids a bit of a head start and like give them the opportunity to buy houses versus us, we're starting over from scratch, you know?
Yeah, literally.
And even though those like especially black Americans did who were in the service and didn't get the GI Bill, it's like I think the system is conditioned to give certain people access to certain things, and we are not failures for having that. And like that's why we're trying to do a co-op. We want the ability to have our own homes. We want the ability to not just get evicted because a landlord doesn't. A landlord's like, "Oh, you painted your room blue, and that's against the lease." And I'm like, "Dang, like, can a girl not have some color? I'm African, you know." And so
Right.
like it's just one of those things where it's like I don't think it's individual failures on us that the system is working as it's intended.
Mm.
And and
Okay,
even like
girl.
your point about childcare, like like if you can't afford childcare and you're working like 40 hours a week and then you come home and take care of your kid, when are you gonna have time to be in community? Like
Right.
my friend who had a kid, I only see her at like Juneteenth or May Day or the state fair because like those are the only kid friendly activities. And
Right.
so one to say if you and Chad have a kid or don't or whatever, like that kid, I'm auntie. Like you can come down in the quadplex and hang out. Like that kid will be loved and a part of community. And like
Yeah.
that's why we were trying to buy a house, bringing it back. Like I think
Yeah.
it's important to understand that we don't have access to that capital by design, so we
Mm.
need to go different routes. We can't just be a couple who has a 780 credit score and the bank will loan to us, or let's say the bank does loan to us but then they won't allow you to rent in this neighborhood because like little thing called gentrification. So we have to
Mm.
do a co-op. It's like, married couple at the top, two homegirls in the middle, and then our other homies at the bottom. Like we got to get a triplex or a quadplex and think outside of the system and outside of the box so we can have access to our human rights, which is literally just a house. Like how are you supposed to make a podcast? Like I couldn't be making a podcast with you right now on this Wi-Fi if I wasn't paying an arm and a leg for rent, you know?
Right.
And so yeah, bringing it back. This is why we're buying a co-op. This is why we've been harping on about community, because fundamentally, like, we got to think outside the box so
Mm.
we can have our dreams fulfilled.
Yeah. Wow. You are eating. No, like you are eating. Um, so well
Yeah, don't get me
said.
started on housing. I love housing. But back to
No,
you, my
like,
babe.
and also just like, I just want to, like, I just want to give you your flowers right now and say, like, my friend's so smart and, like, so just, like, able to, like, convey, like, your ideas so clearly. And I really appreciate having you on here and, like, having people hear that because I think that's so important. And it's also, like, not talked about a ton. Like, I have seen, like, some, like, on TikTok, some, like, queer housing co ops and, like, but it's like a bunch of white people in Austin, Texas or something. Um, which is like whatever.
I mean,
Like, I
I
mean,
love that for them. Like, for
no,
real.
I really do love that for them, but it's just like it's hard to when we talk about Black girls still dreaming, right? Like it's sometimes hard to imagine what that looks like for us. And I think we're still figuring out like again, like I said, the logistics will come, but like we
We're the blueprint,
are.
baby. We just got to start from scratch.
Exactly. And then we can guide all of you who might be thinking like, "Hey, I would love something like this." But yeah, we we are the blueprint and we are starting from scratch. But I'm really excited. I think yes, everything you said about the fact of like, oh, and also I do want to name like I personally don't feel it is a personal failing. I think there are moments where I can because of the society we grow up in, and that we currently live in. And the way that we're told that like success, even in I've been reading a book, The Day God Saw Me as Black by Danielle Thomas, P. Danielle. I can't remember. I think it's Danielle something. She was talking about how like when we build even like religion is like, and oftentimes our relationship to like, she's talking about it in the context of Christianity, how when it is tied to capitalism, which it automatically is because that's the like setting that we like learn, about religion. Like even the concept of like being blessed has to do with like, having what you need, but then also like we live in a society that has commodified our needs in a way that is like so disconnected from what's like morally right that it like can't even apply in the same way that it's like meant to. And I think again that reinforces sometimes a guilt in us, or a feeling like you're doing something wrong, or a feeling like I'm blocking my own blessing by like not being able to afford a house or whatever we tell ourselves. And I want to say that's not how I feel, but that's after like I've done my own work of like recognizing that like I didn't create these systems. I didn't ask for this, right? Like I'm doing my very best, and like there are so many circumstances that that are out of my control that have brought me here. And if you ever want to like judge somebody for those things, just remember that like all the decisions you're judging them for, you're also making, but you have more of a cushion, so then it doesn't result in the same like consequences. And that my biggest like, I just think of like people who kind of equate morality to like legal and not legal, and how like those are the same people who jaywalk and smoke weed and do all these things that like in a lot of places like are illegal, but because somebody else who you deem as being less than or not seeing as human does it, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's their fault. And I like would urge you to like resist that urge.
Heavily
And resist heavily. Like if you're doing that, please don't do that. Like please don't do that, because recognize like that person is just as human as you. Anyway, and I guess in that same framing, like, yeah, it's easy to be really hard on ourselves about things that are like not within our control. So don't do that. But I want to affirm, like, if you are feeling like that, like it didn't come from nowhere. It's like, you're not making it up, right? Like it comes from like years and years, and probably since your birth, like of like programming and messaging that tells you that, everything that happens to you is within your immediate control and is your fault in some capacity. And that's just not true. And so I don't feel that way. But I recognize that if you do, like, that's not like abnormal, I would say is the best way to put that. But yeah, like, and I guess going back to that, like, I think the nice thing about doing things like this with community and with friends and the people you trust and can be vulnerable with is like, we're looking at more of like an LLC model, just to give you guys like, I guess a preview into our thought process. Because we're like, ultimately we're trying something, right? Like we're trying something new, and I feel like we're going to make it happen. I mean, people might change their minds, and that's like, nobody's going to stone you because you change your mind. Like,
Crazy. What happened to tomatoes? Stoning is funny
literally,
shit.
tomatoes. No, like, right. We're not going to boo you off stage. Like, it's really okay. But I think like, yeah, we're at this place where we're like, it's bigger than us. And also we want this for us. And I think that's a really good place to be in, like that in between of like, I want to build something for myself, but I also want to build something for others, because we've talked about like, we want to be able to, I like the idea of having property in Minnesota because, I like Minnesota. But like, I also want to travel, and I also might want to like live somewhere else. And like, wouldn't it be nice to like have a place that I can like rent and like offer as another option for like someone who is like looking for housing, right? And like, you know, what doing that ethically looks like. And yeah, I think there's just a lot of possibility there that's really exciting to us. And I mean, all of these things require money, and yeah, we're figuring out what that looks like. Because if y'all looked at my bank account right now, I actually look at it and let me know because I haven't looked at it in a few days because I'm scared. So,
No, I never. I always give it like a day after the weekend to look, because I just need to like soak in all the decisions I made and like stand by them. And once I firmly stand by them, I'll look at my bank account.
that's real. That's real. I'm trying to avoid it honestly until payday, this Friday because yeah, I feel like, once the check gets in there, like the negatives, it'll even out, I'll be up no matter what. Type beat. But I don't know.
No, but basically, all this to say, community is healing. We, we're everyone's gonna get to where they're going at their own pace, and don't let these imaginary fictional systems tell you you're behind when you're
Mm.
going at your own pace. And honestly, yeah, center joy as much as you can during these hard times, and hold each
Mm.
other when shit hits the fan. And don't look at your bank account until you get paid. I'm joking. I'm joking
And
on the last one.
I'm not. that's that's the strategy I'm employing. So no, I
Or don't look
yes,
ever.
I or just never look at it. No, but yeah, I think let yourself be like not perfect. I think there's a lot of pressure to like have it all figured out and like you know have this perfect balance of whatever. No, let yourself be imperfect. You've barely been on this earth for like however long. I mean, you could be 60 listening to this and I would say let yourself be imperfect, right? Like
Right? And if you're
it
60 listening to this, you also inherited the bullshit.
right. So at the end of the day, like have grace for yourself. You didn't create this mess, and you do your little part every day, right? Not even every day. You do your little part whenever you have the space and time and energy. Um and you got to be okay with that, but center your joy because that's crucial. That's so important.
Literally.
Um,
And to the 60-year-olds listening, I agree you inherited this, but I do have questions on what happened because it's wild. And to add to what Martha said, don't forget to shake ass in between everything, y'all. Shaking ass is a form of revolution. And if you don't have ass to shake, go dance.
right. Shake what you got.
Yeah, shake
be
what your
it be
mama
it
gave
ass,
ya.
be it hair, be it whatever. Shake what you got. I also kind of wanted to pull an affirmation card. Can I do that?
Oh my god, yes. Wait, I want to go get one. Wait, which one are we doing? Are we doing the Deja Joelle deck or the rest deck?
I have the remedy one, the
Okay, then I'll pull
melanated.
the rest one. So we'll each pull
Okay.
one.
All right. You tell me when. I'll wait.
Okay, you pull yours and start because I'm walking over to grab mine.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so just context. We both have. I mean, I think Faye has multiple ones, but we both have different. I don't even know how to explain it. I guess decks that are cards that you pull one and it's like an affirmation for the day. And I keep doing these in the evening, so I don't know why I keep doing that. But okay, I am going to pull one from a random point in the deck. And mine, so the front of it is this one's really shout out to uh the Remedy Melanated Affirmation deck. This one's really pretty. There's really pretty design on it. And it says reclaim your thoughts, and I will read it. So it says, today, consciously make room in your mind for new and innovative thoughts. Recognize the stories you have on a loop. Begin to notice the thoughts that send you on a downward spiral. Use deep breaths to release the remnants of those old and worn out ideations. Consider acknowledging the present by affirming where you are in the moment. You're doing your best. Reclaim the space that was reserved to people, places, or things that have rejected or neglected you. They are in your rear view for a reason. Keep your eyes on the road. The plug, which is just kind of like a little thing you can do, like action item, is download meditation EP Nurture by Deja Joel. Practice the guided meditations at least twice a week, which I will, yeah, I'll urge you to do that with me. And then it says at the end, I let go of the thoughts that don't allow me to be my best self. And that's really beautiful because I feel like it ties into what we were just talking about of like not being so hard on yourself, releasing those thoughts that don't serve you, that are making you judge yourself harsher than you need to because the world already does that. And the last thing you need is an op in your head.
Ooh, bar. That was a bar.
Thank you. You inspire me. See, this is why we work because you like, yeah, we bounce off each other. Did you pull one?
Oh wait, yes, I did. Oh my God, you inspire me too. Honestly, you also excite me. I feel like you make me excited for life.
Aw, same.
I love you.
I love
Okay.
you.
I've grabbed my deck, so I have so I did you get your deck from the sabbatical folks as well?
I did.
Okay, so for a little context, I have this. This is a different deck I have. I have the Nat Ministry Rest deck. It's 50 Practices to Resist Grind Culture by Trisha Hersey. If you don't follow her on Instagram or you haven't read her books, I highly urge you. She has changed my brain chemistry in the year of 2024 and 2025. And I will get back to you on 2026. But we both got different decks from this sabbatical program we both got accepted into that is helping us choose rest and ourselves. And with that, I will read the deck that I pulled. So the card I pulled says, Rest is a beautiful interruption in a world with no pause button. The back says, you will not lose it all if you pause to connect with your body and mind. You have already
Mm,
lost it all if you are living a fear-based life centered on scarcity. Do not fear what you are missing or losing. You are abundant. Your rest is abundant. You are more than what you produce for a capitalist system. Your worth
mm.
is deep. You are safe, beloved.
Wow. Why do they
And with
both like why are they both relevant?
so relevant and perfectly encapsulates what we've been talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, with that, Faye, do you have any last thoughts for the people?
I say please choose yourselves, hold each other when you can't hold yourselves. And yeah, I think the two cards you pulled is what I want to leave y'all with. I feel like those
Real.
really summarized everything. What about you, Martha? You got anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the cards really captured it, but just keep dreaming, right? That's why we're here. We're hopefully a soft place for you to land. And remember, that not all is lost and that there's beauty in every day and to keep dreaming and take care of yourselves and be kind to yourselves. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love you guys. Bye. Mwah.
Love y'all.